Biotic enhancements. Increased melee lunge range, improved melee and super damage when you're surrounded. If that isn't the biggest underselling of an exotic ever, I don't know what is. So as a Titan main, I find it my responsibility to make you believe in the art of the melee. Let's break it down! Synthoceps increased melee lunge range by 40% from 5 meters to 7 meters. For those of you who have never experienced the increased lunge range before, a 3 meter difference is monumental. Improved melee damage when surrounded by 3 or more enemies. 200 for PvE, 100 for PvP. Again, while this may not sound like much, you must consider that Worm Gods used to be a 650% buff, so when combined with the Titan's abilities, the difference is very noticeable. For example, in PvP, previously Titans would use Doom Marchers alongside Ballistic Slam to wipe entire teams of Guardians. After the bug fixing that the exotic received prevented the insanity that was Doom Marchers chaining, Synthoceps became the new choice as it continues the legacy of one-shotting with Ballistic Slam. Improved super damage when surrounded by 3 or more enemies. 50% across PvE and PvP. This is a lot, especially when combined with any of the Titan's solar supers, and Roaring Flames, as they can both stack to deal a bonus of 159.5% damage. In PvP, Synthoceps is a great passive exotic, purely for the lunge range alone, and you can technically one-shot Guardians if you happen to be surrounded, but I wouldn't bet on it. One thing you'll quickly learn is that whenever you're spamming your melee with Synthoceps, or any lunge range exotic, you will be teleporting all over the place as the game tries to understand what the hell is going on. With the basics out of the way, you must now choose a path. Way of the Hammer, Way of the Bash, or Way of the Glade. Way of the Hammer. As the name suggests, the Way of the Hammer involves utilizing Stormbreaker's kit, mainly Roaring Flames and the Throwing Hammer. One of its defining aspects is being reusable, as after throwing your hammer you can pick it back up again. Not only does it grant you a burst of healing via Cure if the hammer strikes a target, it can also utilize Soul Invictus to spawn sunspots after every defeat, which grants you restoration and causes your abilities to recharge faster. It also synergizes with Roaring Flames, not only being one of the easiest ways to activate the perk, but also benefiting from a 73% increased damage when at max stacks. Combined with Synthoceps, it can deal a total of 10.38 times the normal melee damage, while only having to invest your exotic armor. If you feel the need for more damage, the best way to gain an easy 30% increase is by making use of Tractor Cannon's weaken. Since you're going to be in close range anyways, it makes sense to use it to assist in clearing tougher enemies. Now imagine just how powerful this combo was when it could be used alongside the pre-nerfed 1-2 punch to deal 80% more damage. Unfortunately, 1-2 punch was changed to not function alongside Synthoceps and charged melees, so that is no longer possible. But do not let that discourage you, as the damage it could deal was very much overkill for all content, and it is still so powerful that it turns Legend/Master content into a breeze, being able to take care of all champions no matter the type. In fact, it is so powerful that for the Day 1 Vow of the Disciple raid, 2 out of 2 Titans on our roster were utilizing this combo, as it requires little investment while being rewarding and flexible to use. I should also bring up that if there is anyone on your team running stasis, you should also keep in mind that charged melee abilities deal 2.3 times damage to frozen targets. And that is the Way of the Hammer. Incredible damage married with phenomenal healing, all without needing to fire a single bullet. If that doesn't sound like your style, may I introduce Way of the Bash. It is all about overkill, utilizing Sentinel's Titan kit to eradicate any and all opposition. Let's crunch some numbers then. Base melee is 8675, using the Shoulder Bash ability triples that to 28,714. Adding Bastion alongside Defensive Bulwark doubles that up to 57,428. Now, I know I said 1-2 punch does not work with Synthoceps, but there is a slight catch I need to show you. If 1-2 punch is activated, it doubles the damage, but it also adds a second damage number that is worth about 36%, give or take 2%, as it is slightly inconsistent. Adding Synthoceps will lead to the double damage of 1-2 punch provided being removed, but the extra damage still remains. With Synthoceps tripling our damage, the new total is 172,283, plus 62,649 from the 1-2 punch. Keep in mind that 1-2 punch won't be acting as a stacking buff, but instead it will just be an extra 36% of the total damage added, after calculating all the other damage multipliers. Assuming I haven't lost you, Tractor Cannon is next, allowing for an easy 30% debuff, bringing the new total damage up to 315,410. It doesn't stop there, however, as it is time to introduce the first combat style mods of the build. Ball of Ions. Picking up an Arc Elemental Well causes your next melee to deal increased damage. Overcharged Wellmaker. Defeating a combatant with a finisher spawns 2 Arc Elemental Wells. Ball of Ions can be used as a 30% buff for a new total of 355,806. All it needs is an arc well, 2 of which can be created using Overcharged Wellmaker and a willing participant. Optionally, at the cost of 1 fragment slot, we can make this safer using Echo of Obscurity. To ensure final blows, grant invisibility. Since Overcharged Webmaker is a source of arc wells, Echo of Obscurity is a viable investment that can assist in the survivability of the build. And that marks the final damage buff for the build. If that isn't the most titan thing out there, I do not know what is. I should also mention Divinity can be funky sometimes and double the damage of any shoulder bash. However, I have not been able to replicate it consistently. It does, however, consistently double the damage that 1-2 punch adds. I should note that frozen enemies still take 2.3 times damage, but keep in mind that the 1-2 punch shotgun can sometimes shatter the crystals, so you should exclude it when attempting to combo a frozen target. With all of the damage numbers out of the way, there is one more raid above this combination. By using the last 3 combat mod slots and 2 aspect slots, the shoulder bash can have an almost infinite uptime. For the combat mods, Melee Wallmaker. Powered melee combatant final blows spawn elemental wells matching your subclass energy type. This means that not only can the shoulder bash be used to spawn the void wells, but also the empowered melee that is granted by Bastion. Elemental Charge. Become charged with light by picking up an elemental wall. If the elemental wall's element type matches your subclass element, you gain 2 stacks of charged with light. And finally, Heavy Handed. While charged with light, regain half of your melee energy when you use a charged melee ability, consuming 1 stack of charged with light. By combining those 3 combat mods and changing almost nothing in the execution of the combo, over half of the shoulder bash's cooldown is dealt with. For the other half, the following aspects are required. Provision. Damaging targets with grenades grants melee energy. Echo of Exchange. Melee final blows grant grenade energy. Through an Echo of Exchange and a grenade, the other half of the shoulder bash is dealt with. Echo of Provision ensures that when the shoulder bash is used, our grenade is refreshed and the combo is ready to be cycled. So there you have it. Way of the Bash. 400,000 damage per shoulder bash and almost instant ability regeneration. Plenty to kill anything that comes in your way, including champions and regardless of difficulty. And finally, Way of the Glaive. Recently, glaives gained the ability to be used alongside Synthoceps and allows for some incredible damage, specifically using the new Judgment of Kalgaroth, as it is currently the only weapon that can roll with close to melee. Take the base damage of 11,301, triple it for having Synthoceps, at 30% from close to melee, another 30 from Tractor Cannon, an empowering buff of your choice. For this case, I'll assume you have Radiant, so that's another 25%. And our new total damage is 71,620 per swing. Keep in mind that glaives deal 25 to 30% less damage against champion, mini bosses, and vehicles.